Good morning. I am Molly Brinkerhoff, today's worship associate, and along with Reverend Kevin and our tech man, Vic Allen, we welcome you. Old friends and new, young and old, welcome to those in the sanctuary and those who are here virtually. You are an essential part of our gathering today, whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst. We are stronger because you are with us, and we are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. And we are all growing, all learning, all loved, just as you are, and you are all welcome here. So, I have a few announcements. So, to start with, please silence your phones. Just remember to turn them back on after church. If you're watching virtually, please sign into the chat box to let us know who is joining us today. We will be having joys, sorrows, and concerns today. And if you are here in the sanctuary, there's a flyer back there that you can write out your joy, concern, or sorrow. And Rosie will get it to me later. And if you're in the chat box, please write it in the chat box. Next week, a lot of things are happening. First, on Friday is women's group, and it will be at Victoria's. I don't see Victoria at the moment. So you need to let her or Roby know that you're planning to attend. And it's for all women who identify as women. Also, next Sunday, we have our Change for Change. So come prepared with a little bit of money to put in that. And then also, it's a Sunday picnic, so bring your own lunch after church, chair and drink, and it will be held in the Peace Garden. Another announcement is to plan for Pride for the summer. The UUCIF will have a booth at the Rexburg Pride on Saturday, June 15th, and at the Idaho Falls Pride on Saturday, June 22nd. These are great opportunities to meet folks and answer questions about us. Please bring a lawn chair and let Reverend Kevin know you plan to help him out at one of the booths. We will need some help setting up and taking down the booths in addition to staffing them during the event, and more details are to come. We also are in need of cookies for the after-service refreshment hour. Please make up a batch of your favorite cookies and bring them in, and if they can't use them that day, they'll throw them in the freezer and have them another day. We're also looking for more greeters, so if anybody's willing and able to greet, we would love to have more people in that position. So, with that all said, we will now move into our sacred time of worship. So, sit back, relax, take several deep breaths as I ring the peace bowl. Whoops, sorry. Our covenant, along with our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles, is our guide to how our congregation will relate to each other and the world. As I read our church covenant for us all, please recite it with me. Love is the spirit of this community, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We will now be lighting our chalice, and if you have a candle or chalice available at home, please light yours with us. We light this chalice, our welcome to share, and our communion to declare. May this flame shine bright and afar, to serve as our community's lodestar. All are welcome from everywhere. And now it is the time for community greetings, so get up and try to introduce yourself to someone you don't know.
That's not hard. So what is thinking? I want to run it through there, and I got to have a green light or something like that. I just got back from a 10-day road trip going to Science Fiction Convention. Missoula, Michigan. Westford's our Michigan. Obviously, they're definitely the West Coast is friendly drawing. And that should be it for attending cons. WorldCon this year, World Science Fiction Convention, is in Glasgow. I'd love to go, but I hate flying down. But they have a virtual streaming option, which I signed up for. So yeah, but next year Seattle and following year will likely be LA. The reason I say likely is it has to be voted on this year's WorldCon, but they got only written bid in. So next two will be going to expect to. Are you trying to that was okay. Restrain your enthusiasm. Which, yeah, which is why I like to use last guy. Almost like I think we should get together for lunch again sometime. Yeah. So yeah, I'm finally after 3 months of trying to screw up my body and filling it. It's a long story. I'll tell you, I'll get together for lunch sometime. You know, it's just nothing major. It's just continual things like and none of them were bad. It's like scraped here, bruised here. Bruise is great in my knee. Jammed my sprockets into my leg. So there were shortcuts but deep, so they only the scab over for like 3 or 4 days. And they're not fully healed yet. You know, I didn't think of that. Everybody goes to the emergency department.
I forgot to say, when you hear the bell, you have to go back to your seat. Kind of like at grade school again. So it's up to you.
Sip of water here. Well, good morning, especially those that didn't make it to shaking hands this morning, but it was a busy place. Our call to worship this morning is the poem In Praise of Mystery, a poem for Europa by the U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limon. And a copy of this, as I noted in the order of service, is going to be engraved and placed on the Europa Clipper spacecraft on its mission to the Jupiter system in October 2024, hopefully, if it gets launched on time. So this is going out to the space, to Jupiter at least, I think beyond after they finish that fly through the system. Arching under the night sky inky with black expansiveness, we point to the planets we know. We pin quick wishes on stars. From Earth, we read the sky as if it is an unerring book of the universe, expert and evident. Still, there are mysteries below our sky. The whale song, the songbird singing, its call in the bough of a wind-shaken tree. We are creatures of constant awe, curious at beauty, at leaf and blossom, at grief and pleasure, sun and shadow. And it is not darkness that unites us, not the cold distance of space, but the offering of water, each drop of rain, each rivulet, each pulse, each vein. O second moon, we too are made of water, of vast and beckoning seas. We too are made of wonders, of great and ordinary loves, of small invisible worlds, of a need to call out through the dark. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, measures small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us, as we give we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
Good morning. This morning I have a tale titled Falling Star. It is a tale from the Northern Cheyenne Native American legends, and it's pretty interesting. I hope you like it. Many native tribes told stories of humans interacting with beings from the stars, and even the stars themselves. Then, as now, the starry night sky is a source of beauty and inspiration to people all over the earth. The story of Falling Star comes from the Northern Cheyenne people who lived on the northern Great Plains. One day, long, long ago, two young Indian girls were lying on the grass outside their teepee on a warm summer evening. They were looking up into the sky, describing star pictures formed by their imaginations. "That is a pretty star. I like that one," said first girl. "I like that one best of all over there," second girl pointed. First girl pointed to the brightest star in the sky and said, "I like the brightest one best of all. That's the one I want to marry." That evening they agreed to go out the next day to gather wood. The next morning, they started for the timbered area, and on their way, they saw a porcupine climb a tree. "I'll climb the tree and pull him down," said first girl. She climbed, but she could not reach the porcupine. Every time she stretched her hand for him, the porcupine climbed a little higher. Then the tree started growing taller. Second girl below called her friend. "Please come down, the tree is growing taller." "No," said first girl, as the porcupine climbed higher and the tree grew taller. Second girl could see what was happening, so she ran back to the camp and told her people. They rushed to the tree. But first girl had completely disappeared. The tree continued to grow higher and higher. Finally, first girl reached another land. She stepped off the tree branch and walked upon the sky. Before long, she met a kindly-looking middle-aged man who spoke to her, and first girl began to cry. "Why, whatever is the matter? Only last night I heard you wish that you could marry me. I am the brightest star," he said. Well, first girl was pleased to meet brightest star, and she became happy again when she got her wish and married him. He told her that she could dig roots with the other star women, but to beware of a certain kind of white turnip with a great green top. This kind she must never dig. To do so was against the medicine, against the rules of the sky chief. So every day, first girl dug roots. Her curiosity about the strange white turnip became so intense that she decided to dig up one of them. It took her a long time. When she finally pulled out the root, a huge hole was left. She looked into the hole, and far, far below, she saw the camp of her own people. Everything and everyone was very small, but she could see lodges and people walking. Instantly, she became homesick to see her own people again. How could she ever get down from the sky? She realized it was a long, long way down to earth. And then her eyes fell upon long, tough grass growing near her. Maybe she could braid it into a long rope. She decided to try, every day pulling more long grass and braiding more rope. One time her husband, brightest star, asked, "What is it that keeps you outdoors so much of the time?" "I walk a great distance, and that makes me tired. I need to sit down and rest before I can start back home." At last, she finished making her strong rope, thinking by now it must be long enough. She tied one end of the rope to a log that she rolled across the top of the hole as an anchor. She let down the rope. It looked as though it touched the ground. She lowered herself into the hole, holding on to the braided rope. It seemed to take a long time as she slowly lowered herself until she came to the end of the rope. But it did not touch the earth. For a long while she hung on, dangling in midair, calling uselessly for help. When she could hold on no longer, she fell to the ground and broke into 1,000,000 tiny pieces. And although she did die, her unborn son did not die, because he was made of star stone and did not break. A meadowlark saw what happened and took the falling star baby to her nest. There the lark kept him with her own baby birds. When they were older, Falling Star crept out of the nest with the little birds. The stronger the birds grew, the stronger grew Falling Star. Soon all of them could crawl and run. The young birds practiced their flying while Falling Star ran after them. Then the young birds could fly anywhere they wished, while Falling Star ran faster and faster to keep up with them. "Son, you had better go home to your own people," said Mother Meadowlark. "It is time for us to fly south for the winter. Before long, the weather here will be very cold." "Mother Meadowlark," asked Falling Star, "why do you want to leave me? Why do I need to leave you? I want to go with you." "No, son," she replied. "You must go home now. I will go if Father Meadowlark will make me a bow and some arrows." So Father Meadowlark made a bow and pulled some of his own quills to feather the arrows. He made 4 arrows and a bow for Falling Star. Then he started Falling Star in the right direction toward his home downstream. Falling Star traveled a long time before he reached the camp of his people. He went into the nearest lodge owned by an old grandmother. "Grandmother," he said, "I need a drink of water." "My grandson," she said to him, "only the young men who are the fastest runners can go for water. There's a water monster who sucks up any people who go too close to it. Grandmother, if you will give me your buffalo pouch and your buffalo horn ladle, I will bring you water. Grandson, I warn you that many of our finest young men have been destroyed by the water monster. I fear that you will be killed too." But she gave him the things he asked for. He went upstream and dipped water, at the same time keeping watch for the monster. At the very moment Falling Star filled his bucket, the water monster raised its head above the water. His mouth was enormous. He sucked in his breath and drew in Falling Star, the bucket, water, and the ladle. When Falling Star found himself inside the monster's stomach, he saw all the other people who had ever been swallowed. With his starstone, he cut a hole in the animal's side. Out crawled all the people, and Falling Star rescued his pouch and the ladle for his grandmother, taking her some cool, fresh water. "My grandson, who are you?" she asked, marveling at his survival. "Grandmother, I am Falling Star. I killed the monster who has caused our people much suffering, and I rescued all the people who had been swallowed." The old woman told the village crier to spread the good news that the monster was dead. Now that Falling Star had saved the camp people there, he asked Grandmother, "Are there other camps of our people nearby?" "Yes, there is one farther downstream," she said. Falling Star took his bow and arrows and left camp. The fall of the year had now arrived. After traveling many days, he reached the other camp. Again, he went into an old woman's lodge where she sat near her fire. "Grandmother, I am very hungry," he said. My son, we have no food. We cannot get any buffalo meat. Whenever our hunters go out for buffalo, a great white crow warns the buffalo, which drives them away." "How very sad," he said. "I will try to help. Go out and look for a worn-out buffalo robe with very little hair. Tell your chief to choose 2 of his fastest runners and send them to me." Later, the old woman returned with the robe and 2 swift runners. Falling Star told them his plan. "I will go to a certain place and wait for the buffalo. When the herd runs, I will follow, disguised as a buffalo in the worn-out robe. You 2 runners chase me and the buffalo for a long distance. When you overtake me, you must shoot me. I will pretend to be dead. You pretend to cut me open and leave me there on the ground." When the real buffalo arrived, the white crow flew over them screaming, "They're coming! They're coming after you! Run! Run!" Well, the buffalo herd ran, followed by a very shabby-looking bull buffalo. The two swift runners chased the old bull according to plan. All kinds of birds, wolves, and coyotes came towards the carcass from all directions. Among them was the white crow. As he flew over Falling Star in disguise, he called out shrilly, "I wonder if this is Falling Star." Time after time, the crow flew over the carcass, still calling, "I wonder if this is Falling Star." He came closer and closer with each pass. When he was close enough, Falling Star sprang and grabbed the legs of the white crow. All of the other birds and animals scattered in every direction. When Falling Star brought the captive white crow home to the grandmother, she sent word for the chief. "I will take the white crow to my lodge. I will tie him to the smoke hole and smoke him till he turns black," said the chief. From that moment on, Good Cheyenne were able to kill many buffalo, and they had plenty of buffalo meat for all their needs. The people, in gratitude, gave Falling Star a lovely lodge home and a pretty Indian maiden waiting there to become his wife. They remained all of their lives with the Northern Cheyenne Indian tribe. And we will now sing out the children.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. I will now read the joys and concerns, and Reverend Kevin will light a candle. So from Victoria, a joy. Plants in my yard are thriving in the sunny weather. Also from Victoria, my brother Joe and sister-in-law Rena arrived from Texas 1,500 miles in 2 days. So they're home for the summer. And then from Heather Cook, received my placement, for next year's teaching 6th grade. Good job. And we light one more candle for all those joys, sorrows, and concerns that we have that we are just not ready to share at this moment.
Our reading this morning comes from the book Cosmos by Carl Sagan. Even if life on another planet has the same molecular chemistry as life here, there is no reason to expect it to resemble familiar organisms. Consider the enormous diversity of living things on Earth, all of which share the same planet and an identical molecular biology. Those other beasts and vegetables are probably radically different from any organism we know here. There may be some convergent evolution because there may be only one best solution to a certain environmental problem, something like 2 eyes, for example, for binocular vision at optical frequencies. But in general, the random character of the evolutionary process should create extraterrestrial creatures very different from any that we knew. I cannot tell you what an extraterrestrial being would look like. I am terribly limited by the fact that I know only one kind of life on Earth. Some people, science fiction writers and artists, for instance, have speculated on what other beings might look like. I am skeptical about most of these extraterrestrial visions. They seem to rely too much on forms of life we already know. Any given organism is the way it is because of a long series of individually unlikely steps. I do not think life anywhere else would look very much like a reptile or an insect or a human, even with such minor cosmetic adjustments as green skin, pointy ears, or antennae. Biology is more like history than it is like physics. You have to know the past to understand the present, and you have to know it in exquisite detail. There is as yet no predictive theory of biology, just as there is not yet a predictive theory of history. The reasons are the same. Both subjects are still too complicated for us. An offering to support the mission of this church will now be given and gratefully received. A few weeks ago, a research team from Cambridge University announced a remarkable discovery they made in 2023 from analyzing data collected by the James Webb Space Telescope from the exoplanet labeled K2-18b. K2-18b is located about 120 light years from Earth in the constellation Leo, orbiting the habitable zone around the cool dwarf star K2-18. What they discovered was evidence of a significant concentration of the gas dimethyl sulfide, or DMS, in the planet's atmosphere. And though the interpretation of data from such distant objects is fraught with potential error, further analysis by other researchers seems to confirm the findings within a reasonable doubt. Finding dimethyl sulfide in the exoplanet's atmosphere may not seem spectacular to many people, but the importance of the discovery is that on Earth, DMS is a compound produced by life forms such as marine algae and phytoplankton. Water vapor was detected in K2-18b's atmosphere in 2019, along with methane and carbon dioxide in 2023. So this new discovery of DMS in concentrations much greater than we see on Earth is a potential biosignature, the strongest evidence found to date to indicate that life may have evolved on another planet. K2-18b is different from Earth, being about 2.6 times larger in diameter and possibly more like a gas giant planet such as Neptune, but there is speculation that oceans may even exist on its surface. As you can imagine, K2-18b has become a special focus for researchers hoping to find evidence of extraterrestrial life. So there will likely be further discoveries in the near future. It is amazing that we can even begin to collect and analyze such data from an object 120 light years away. So it may turn out not to be so spectacular down the road, but initial results are very exciting. Ever since we learned that the cosmos was filled with billions, perhaps even trillions of galaxies full of billions of stars, it has seemed incomprehensible to imagine that our little planet is the only place in the universe where life exists. But where is everyone else? We can speculate about exotic forms of life that might exist on a gas giant planet or on worlds with more extreme environments, but even setting all of these aside, there are probably billions of worlds that are similar to our own. These are planets like K2-18b that are orbiting stars in the habitable zone where temperatures are not too hot or too cold for liquid water to exist, which is believed to have been an essential ingredient for the evolution of life on Earth. For those of us who accept the scientific organic evolution of humankind as one of Earth's millions of species of life, the statistical probability makes it almost certain that we are not alone in the cosmos. And with such an incredible number of potential habitable planets, even theological ideas that assume there is something extra special about the status of humankind have to concede that there might just be other creatures out there who are just as special in the eyes of God. There are competing scientific theories about the exact mechanism that triggered the development of life on Earth, but there is no reason to believe it could only happen on a single planet. Whether those extraterrestrial life forms evolved into the diversity and complexity needed to spawn self-aware creatures who went on to create civilizations is a different question. Something akin to marine algae has probably evolved countless times in the history of the universe. But how likely is it that someone else is sitting on a distant planet pondering the same questions about life in the universe and even listening for evidence or exploring the stars? A possible answer to this question, known as the Drake equation, was formulated in 1961 by the astrophysicist Frank Drake, during the early days of searching for radio signals to detect extraterrestrial life. Without going too much into the math and physics, the Drake equation estimates the number of extraterrestrial civilizations in our Milky Way galaxy that we might be able to detect within the light horizon. The equation is a product of several factors that are based on the best scientific estimates, including the average rate of star formation in our galaxy, the fraction of those stars that have planets, the average number of planets per star that could potentially support life, the fraction of those planets that might develop life, the fraction of planets with life where intelligent life might evolve, the fraction of inhabited planets that could develop the technology to transmit signals we could detect, and the length of time when such signals could be transmitted into space. Obviously, many of these factors are highly debatable, and results of the Drake equation produces can vary dramatically depending on the values placed on even a single factor. On the low end of the scale, you get something like the probability of advanced extraterrestrial life being 9.1 times 10 to the minus 13, or very nearly 0, meaning we are probably alone. But if other factors are adjusted, you get something like 15,600,000 planets we might be able to contact. And remember, this is just an estimate for our own galaxy, which is one among many billions. Even if the low estimate is more accurate, when multiplied by billions of other galaxies, there should be some form of intelligent life beyond the Earth. And I suspect the higher end estimates are more accurate. The universe could be teeming with life the way it is imagined in Star Trek. But so far, we have found no evidence, unless you believe one of the many conspiracy theories about government cover-ups or the TV shows claiming to have evidence, though mostly asking open-ended questions like, could it be that aliens built the pyramids? We have detected a very few interesting signals over the years to analyze, and we are beginning to see potential signs of life with space telescopes and other means, but we have yet to find a trace of someone reaching out to say hello from afar. So again, we are left to wonder, where is everyone else? The absence of extraterrestrial contact has become known as the Fermi paradox, or sometimes the Great Silence. The Fermi paradox is named after the famous Italian-American physicist Enrico Fermi, who, as the story goes, was in a casual conversation with other physicists around 1950 about the phenomena of UFO sightings. And reportedly he said something like, "But where is everybody?" Fermi was not the first to pose the question, but he was famous enough that his name became attached. Many solutions have been proposed to resolve the Fermi paradox, ranging from the mundane to the horrifying. I even have a book by the physicist Stephen Webb titled, "If the Universe is Teeming with Aliens, Where is Everybody? 75 Solutions to the Fermi Paradox and the Problem of Extraterrestrial Life." As Webb describes in the book, the solutions can be lumped into three broad categories, and each has both scientific and theological implications to consider. These are: 1, they are or were here. 2, they exist, but we have yet to see or hear from them. And 3, they don't exist. Among the first group of solutions, the idea that aliens have already visited Earth, several possibilities suggest that life here is or was too primitive to bother contacting. Either they tried to contact us before intelligent life evolved and moved on, or they observed us for a while and decided humans were unlikely to amount to much in the grand scheme of things. A subcategory of this thinking imagines that life on Earth, and especially intelligent life, was planted here by extraterrestrials in the distant past. But while this might appeal to people who want to see a design or purpose to the saga of human evolution, it doesn't explain where the original alien life came from in the first place. If life here is the product of bioengineering, who created the engineers? You can torture this line of thought into conventional theistic thinking to suggest the existence of a divine creator in the beginning, but that argument is not much more satisfying than resorting to plain old creationism. Another possibility from this category that I find more intriguing is the so-called zoo hypothesis, which has been proposed in several forms. It is the idea that more advanced civilizations that are capable of contacting us choose not to do so because planets where life has evolved are treated like zoos or wildlife sanctuaries. They are left undisturbed for alien biologists to observe and for evolution to run its course. Those who claim to have been abducted by aliens and probed in various ways would find this idea quite plausible. It is inconceivable. It is conceivable that a few of us might be tagged and studied as human 399, but I haven't seen convincing evidence so far. Maybe the aliens are just that good or sneaky. For Star Trek fans, this might suggest that a form of the so-called prime directive is at work, a prohibition against alerting to our primitive civilization to the existence of more advanced space-traveling aliens before we are ready to handle the existential challenge of such knowledge. The second broad category of proposed solutions assumes that alien life exists, but for whatever reason, we have not made contact. This seems the most plausible given our current knowledge of the universe, but since it is based on the lack of evidence, we can only speculate. The simplest answer suggests that space is just so immense that there hasn't been enough time for any signal or alien spacecraft to reach us, or we simply haven't looked in the right direction to detect a transmission. Another possibility is that we don't know what frequencies to search or how to comprehend their transmission if we do stumble across something. We have been metaphorically listening to the heavens in earnest since at least 1985, with the founding of the SETI Institute, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and more recently with all sorts of Earth-based and space telescopes. Along the way, we have tried to imagine how another civilization would try to make contact. And as we develop the means to discover exoplanets around distant stars, we have focused our efforts on more promising candidates like K2-18b. The problem, of course, is that most of the stars we see are simply too distant for signals to reach us unless they originated a very long time ago. Consider, for instance, that we have only been broadcasting radio signals into space since 1897. So unless they possessed some unimaginable technology, any aliens more than 128 light years from Earth would probably see no evidence of intelligent life, even if they were pointing their radio telescopes right at us. Among the many other solutions in this category, some are quite depressing. One idea is that self-destruction is inevitable once a civilization achieves some technological milestone. So just when we might be able to make contact, everything is wiped out by nuclear conflagration or other global calamity, perhaps even global climate change. Another possibility is that other life exists, but we are, in fact, the most intelligent and advanced creatures to have evolved in the universe to date. If so, that is truly depressing. Given the state of our moral and technological progress, I really hope there are more evolved life forms elsewhere in the cosmos that might offer hope to us in the future. However, we clever primates have discovered many things about the universe and developed all sorts of technology on our own. So maybe it takes more than 13.7 billion years to get beyond this point. Some theories suggest that artificial intelligence will ultimately evolve far beyond our comprehension and will become the real citizens of the cosmos. So perhaps we are a remnant biological life form in a post-biological universe of advanced AI civilizations. There are simply too many other possibilities to explore in a single sermon, but one additional solution I want to mention comes from the third broad category, that alien life does not exist. This is the idea that the universe was created just for us. That whether or not we bring God or the gods into the picture, which we have usually done, the fabric and physical laws of the universe are designed in a way that specifically favors bringing human life on Earth into existence. I find this solution irrational and unappealing and incredibly arrogant, but it is the primary way many religions and Western civilization has viewed the universe for millennia. And unfortunately, it is still the basis for much of the traditional religious thinking that is still with us. Before our ancestors knew much about the stars and the planets, such thinking was quite understandable. But these days, it is almost inexcusable. It is one thing for us to observe the laws of physics and the journey of evolution with the benefit of hindsight and appreciate the near infinite number of selections that brought human beings into existence. But this does not mean that our good fortune is the end product of some divine plan. If so, it seems confusing and awfully wasteful in the enormity of the universe and the deep extent of time would be necessary to create one little life form on a single planet. But maybe it is only incomprehensible to us and is perfectly comprehensible to an omnipotent divine being. As the Bible warns, God's ways are not our own. I, however, remain skeptical. My own beliefs about why we live in the great silence come down to three factors: the demonstrable rarity of intelligent life on Earth, the size of the observable universe, and the technological challenges of interstellar communication and exploration. There are millions of species that evolved alongside us on Earth, and yet we're the only species that has developed the intelligence and technology to even begin to look for life on other worlds. Life is probably abundant, given the laws of nature seem to be uniform, and given the statistical probability of habitable planets. But I suspect intelligent life is extremely rare. And among those intelligent life forms, a civilization capable of transmitting timely signals across the vastness of space must possess technology beyond anything we currently understand. But perhaps there is a way to take advantage of quantum physics phenomena to send information faster than the speed of light. If so, I imagine it would be very difficult to detect. Maybe one day in the not-so-distant future, we may prove that extraterrestrial life exists, probably with the help of artificial intelligence. It is fun to imagine that an alien spacecraft landing in a dramatic entrance, but I think that is not very likely. If the life we detect will probably be small and very simple. In either case, this will upset the theologies that remain stuck in a medieval worldview based on the central importance of humankind. But imagine the awe and wonder of discovering even microscopic life on another world, proving that evolution is not unique to our planet. Traditional religious thinking will be forced to adjust. And there's already an emerging field known as exotheology that is beginning to ponder the implications for Christians and others. It is also fun to speculate about the spirituality of extraterrestrials. Any intelligent life form must have confronted the same big questions about existence as we have, but did they develop religions and spiritual practices in response? Some science fiction writers have tackled this question, but most seem to ignore it. Maybe the aliens will be something similar to Unitarian Universalists, with a framework of moral values and an appreciation for the interdependent web of all existence. They would certainly be welcome to join us. I just hope they aren't fundamentalists of some sort. And if we do make contact with intelligent life, what will it be like? Science fiction stories are filled with possibilities from benign aliens whose advanced civilizations has long abandoned the moral failures of our species, such as war and greed, to tyrannical alien empires driven by the thirst for conquest, enslavement, and the annihilation of other species. We seem to project our highest human aspirations and our worst human impulses onto our imagined alien visitors. But who can say that our concept of morality extends to alien civilizations? When we sent the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft on their long journeys beyond our solar system, we included friendly engraved plaques with a message to anyone they might encounter about who we are, or more likely were. And on the Voyager 1 and 2 spacecraft, we included a phonograph record with sounds and images of Earth. Science fiction writers have imagined scenarios where aliens receive these or other messages from Earth, and sometimes they end very badly for us. Even Stephen Hawking was concerned that first contact with an alien civilization could be as technologically lopsided and perilous as the European conquest of the New World. I like to think this is simply better storytelling than what would actually happen, because it is inconceivable to me that a civilization so advanced that they can travel the stars would still be driven by the impulse to kill and plunder those they encounter. We have dreamed about contacting other intelligent life in the universe since we first realized we live on a planet in orbit around a star, and perhaps even longer. So far, the cosmos is silent. But that does not deter us from searching for new worlds and new civilizations. We will always be earthlings, dependent on a host of other species for our very existence, so it may prove very difficult for us to travel through the stars. We can imagine that the same is true for beings from another world. Let us always be explorers, driven by the desire to better understand the universe and follow the search for truth and meaning wherever it may lead. Finding life on another world would enhance our appreciation of the interdependent web of all existence and help us to better know our place in the universe. I invite you now to join in singing a closing hymn, number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning.
For the earth forever turning, for the skies forever see, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the mountains, hills, and pastures, in their silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seas and harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our blue-green hills of earth.
Our closing words are the poem Ancient Life Off Earth by Sam Illingworth. Beneath the cool embrace of bygone waves, you grew, not gasping, but rather searching for air. Your signature evolving in the shifting pigments of your many-colored coat. Blues and greens transformed to yellows, pinks, and reds, peripheries tinged with purple, as we turn our gaze to the stars.
We will now extinguish our chalice with the following words. Please join me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And be sure to join us in the, what room is that called? What's that? The Willard Room for refreshment hour.